Also wir sind hier, um zu zeigen, dass Tiere furchtbar ausgebeutet werden und getötet werden für alles, was wir essen und was wir anziehen.
Ja, und ich verstehe. Weißt du, darf ich du sagen?
Natürlich.
Ja, ich komme aus dem Libanon.
Okay.
Es ist sehr, sehr wichtig und sehr nett, was sie machen. Aber wenn ich sie sehe,
Ja.
ich denke gerade auf die Menschen,
Ja.
die sterben.
Ja.
Weißt du?
Ja, furchtbar. Aber ist ein Unterschied zwischen den Menschen und den Tieren?
Ja.
Warum? Kein Unterschied. Ist doch kein Unterschied.
Ja, es ist nicht.
Warum denn?
Und sie ist deine Freundin oder deine Familie.
Natürlich, Familie ist was anderes, aber diese Tiere können doch genauso fühlen und leiden wie Menschen.
Aber was sollen wir essen?
Vegan. Ich bin vegan seit 6 Jahren. Wegen mir stirbt das nicht. Wenn du gegen Krieg bist im Libanon,
Definitiv.
dann musst du gegen Krieg an Tieren sein.
Stimmt, aber du weißt, dass es ist nicht einfach für alle Menschen, veganische Essen zu haben.
Ich kann auch jetzt gerade nicht mit allen Menschen reden, sondern mit dir. Du lebst in Österreich. Du kannst Obst, Gemüse, Getreide, Hülsenfrüchte, Nüsse, Samen essen. Du kannst,
wir brauchen Proteine.
genau, alle Proteine entstehen in Pflanzen. Alle Aminosäuren dafür entstehen in Pflanzen. Ja? Das heißt, ein Gorilla, groß und starker Gorilla, isst nur Pflanzen, hat viele, viele Muskeln, kriegt alle Proteine aus Pflanzen.
Was ist Gorilla?
Ein Gorilla ist ein Affe, ja, und wir sind Menschen. Ich kann jetzt 20 Liegestütz machen, wir haben riesige Sportler, wir brauchen keine tierischen Produkte für Proteine. Noch nie ist ein Veganer an Proteinmangel gestorben. Aber viele, viele, viele Mischköstler sterben an Herzinfarkt, Schlaganfall, Diabetes, Übergewicht. Okay?
Ja, ich verstehe.
Das heißt, wir können gesund und glücklich sein als Veganer. Und ich verstehe, was du sagst. Schlimm, dass Menschen sterben. Ja, schlimm, dass Menschen sterben.
Ja, deshalb, ich habe einen langen Weg, bis ich echt
Nein.
das machen kann.
Nein, du hast jetzt gerade überhaupt keinen langen Weg. Du kannst jetzt aufhören mit Krieg an Tieren, weil du zahlst jetzt gerade für das, was du an Menschen nicht unterstützen würdest. Du zahlst für Familientrennung von Tieren. Du bist nicht für Familientrennung an Menschen, aber du zahlst dafür, dass Familien von Tieren getrennt werden. Du zahlst dafür, dass Tiere in den Kopf geschossen werden, aber du bist dagegen.
This is cruel, of course not.
But this is what happens in the slaughterhouses. This is exactly what you pay for if you buy animal products. You pay for the murder of pigs in gas chambers. You pay for chickens.
Gas chambers?
Yes, in gas chambers. That's the normal way to kill pigs. 40 million pigs in Germany. 2.5 million pigs in Austria. This is what you're responsible for if you eat pig products or any other gummy bears with gelatin or something inside. You pay for the systematic slitting of throats of hens. You rip mothers from their calves when you buy milk products, dairy products and cheese. This is the only reason that a cow gives milk is for her calf. So if you're against all these things happening to humans, where is the difference? Where? Tell me what the difference, the moral difference that justifies doing all that to
No, it doesn't justify it.
Okay, all right, of course.
But what I mean is that somebody like me has in head all the time the people who are dying. First.
Yes, of course, that's terrible. Yeah.
Before I could think about animals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely cruel to shoot them in the head.
Exactly, but this is exactly what you pay for, and you can at the same time think about all the suffering and pain that you have probably been going through, and I'm sorry for that. But that's no reason to do the same kind of suffering and pain.
Reason,
yes,
of course.
So
it's just that I'm very far from thinking about animals because I'm still stuck in the human basic rights,
you are thinking about animals in this moment. So after this moment, after this conversation, you no longer have a justification, or you can no longer say that you did not know it.
I have no justification.
Yes, all right. So you can be vegan and not do animal rights activism, but do human rights activism all day long. But you can always be vegan while doing this.
I could consider it.
You should not.
Me,
you should not consider it for me. But why would you not just do it?
No, I would consider it that there is a not acceptable way of killing animals and this all. But I'm still. My focus is all of it is on the human beings first, you know.
You can focus on anything else in your life. I just want you to not pay for the Holocaust of the animals, because this is what you are contributing to if you're not vegan. And I also want you to understand one more thing. Of course we are humans and we are different from other animals. but there is no moral difference between human animals and non-human animals that
But
makes
what's the priority for you?
The priority for me is suffering, all right? So a pig,
But why don't
yes.
you consider human beings that are
How
suffering?
do you know that I don't consider human beings that are suffering?
Because
I'm a doctor, I'm a human medical doctor, yes? I worked with people suffering terrible diseases and it hurt my heart, it ripped it apart, all right? Then I discovered...
That's talking about diseases,
can I continue?
but not human
Can
rights.
I continue to
Sure,
talk, all
sure,
right?
sure.
So I also worked with people coming from trauma, who had terrible infliction on their human rights on basis of their gender identity, on basis of their race, who had been in traumatic accidents because people had done racial things to them. So of course I also consider human rights, but many people understand that human rights and animal rights are exactly the same, because who are the people that work in slaughterhouses? Who are the folk on this planet who are directly affected by climate change, which is contributed to largely by the animal industries? It's the poorest people of the world. It's the most discriminated against people who have to live in these abhorrent situations, killing animals all day, or being directly affected by floods, or by
corruption.
Exactly, corruption, or having to give up their grain in order to feed animals. This is cruel, this is discrimination. Also, additionally, we have the human atrocity of all the diseases. This is also a big point that I fight against. If I go against animal industry, we fight the most common reasons for suffering and death of humans in the industrialized zones. We fight against zoonotic diseases, which we are in right now. Every single disease pandemic that happens is usually zoonotic, meaning it comes from animals. So I am against every form of discrimination. I'm against racism, I'm against homophobia, I am against transphobia, and I am against, and this is probably a new word for you, speciesism. So,
I understand.
yes, so discrimination on the basis of species is a real moral emergency. Because you probably pet dogs and then you go and eat a chicken. You stroke a cat's head and then you slaughter a fish. Yes?
A fish also is considered.
A fish feels pain. A fish can suffer. A fish is an individual, just like you and me. They cannot scream. You do not hear their screams, but they do suffer just like you and me. Pulling a fish out of the water, I know it sounds weird for you, but this is because you are thinking out of a speciesist environment. Pulling a fish out of the water is like putting a dog into the water. A fish will suffocate.
It used to happen like
yes.
hundreds and thousands.
Yeah. We always killed black people. It always happened.
No, of
we
course.
always
no,
raped
those
women.
are people.
Yes. Animals are also individual people with an individual consciousness and feelings. They can feel pain, they can feel suffer, they can feel joy, just like us.
I
just
agree.
because it always happened this way, just because we always were cruel to fish, just because we always were cruel to women, is no justification to carry on doing that.
Yes, but my only concern is that there should be a priority first for people.
Okay.
When it ends, then you can switch to something which is
look. Since you have given me,
obvious.
since you have given me no moral distinction between animals and human animals that justifies what you keep on saying, this makes absolutely no sense, because suffering is suffering, independent of sex, race, and species. So there is no reason to concentrate just on humans or just on animals. Especially,
but I have a reason. Maybe you don't.
You still have not given me one. I see that you have one, but it makes no sense. But even if you have a human considering, you do see that the animal industries is affecting so many human problems that it would, even just from a human rights perspective, probably make sense to concentrate on that, because you eradicate pandemics, you eradicate racial nutrition problems, like for example giving black people milk products which they cannot take on very well, which is normal in America. They get food stamps for products that their bodies are not very well evolved to use, you know? So this is the same thing. Human rights and animal rights is one, and you should consider the suffering of everyone, of every person, be it human animal or non-human animal. And I will never say that what happens in wars or in the Lebanon or anywhere else is not terrible.
But why don't you try to put the light on
Pardon?
such things.
How would you know that I don't? First of all, you.
I see this.
Yeah, you don't know what I do 6 out of 7 days a week.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So this is not fair, first of all. And secondly, even if I did not, there is no reason not to go for the animals, not to go for this problem, not to go for this problem, and simultaneously be vegan and simultaneously be vegan.
Theoretically,
Yeah?
okay. But I believe that people are different.
Yeah.
We have different cultures. We have
Yes, of course we have that.
way of thinking.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I understand your argument.
Yes.
But you don't really know how much suffering of human beings I saw and I still see in my country.
I don't know that.
And this
Yes.
doesn't allow you in any way to focus on something else.
Of course it allows that for me, especially like
For
I said.
you,
No.
didn't come from where I
Yes,
come.
of course I said already there is no moral difference between humans and animals. I see that you're very emotional about this and I understand that because it must be terrible what you saw.
More than that.
I understand that, I respect that. But still, from a logical point, there is no moral difference, and I will say the last time now, between humans and non-human animals that makes their suffering any less valid. It's only your inherent, indoctrinated speciesism that says, okay, just gas the pigs, all right, I'll just go fight for Lebanon lives. Great that you are emotional about that and that you're fighting for that and against human discrimination. We should fight against that. We should always fight against discrimination, any kind of discrimination, like I said.
Okay.
I only ask you, be vegan. Consider the suffering of the animals as exactly the same worth as any other person.
I can.
Yes, and that's speciesist of you. Will you be vegan now?
No.
Then you are an animal murderer and you're no better than anybody who puts a gun to a human head.
I'm not
If you buy animal products and you're not vegan, you are an animal
What if
murderer.
I cannot afford vegan products?
You can afford food, all right?
You are Austrian. You
Yes.
have much more privileges
Can
than
you
I do.
buy rice? Can you buy beans?
Yeah.
Then you can be vegan. You know, being vegan, there's been a great study now, is actually cheaper than being non-vegan. Because the cheapest products in the supermarkets are potatoes, rice, lentils, beans. You know, the things that you need are the most cheap things in the supermarket. So price is not an excuse to keep on paying for the systematic slaughter and Holocaust of the animals. Habe ich leider
Ja,
nicht.
ja. Sie können es haben, ich habe eine zweite.
Ich habe zu Hause, danke. Vielen lieben Dank.
I understand you and I appreciate, but it's not easy for me to just get convinced
Yeah.
so fast.
Is it easier for
Or
you?
to shift my empathy completely
Yes.
from a place to another.
You don't have to shift your empathy, you just have to reactivate something that we had as a child. If I had a pig in my arms right now, we would be giggling, we would be stroking the little piggy. Okay?
I'm not against it.
Yes. We would not say, let's eat the piggy. Yes? It's just an individual like we. But we forget that because the industry does not want us to think about that. And
I have another reason. Maybe your reason is the industry. My reason is something completely different.
which is the reason? What is it?
I would never finish if I want to start. But
Try me. There are only 4 reasons. 4 reasons
the
why you
amount
eat animal
of
products.
injustice, of
Yes.
inhumanity,
Yes.
of all of this
Yes.
concerning human beings.
Yes.
You and me,
Yes.
my family, your
Yes.
family.
Yes.
I saw something which is terrible.
Yes.
Things
Yes.
in all my life.
Yes.
You cannot imagine it just if I tell you. You must live it.
Yeah.
You live completely another life.
Yes, of course. You think that about me. You do not know what I lived through, which is
No,
also not
but
okay.
I
know it's statistically.
No, but I
you
can
think
have an
yes.
idea because you were born here and I'm here and I know.
You don't know if I was born here. So, which is also a statistical assumption
Where
that
are
you're
you
making
from?
about. It does not matter. It does not matter what I've lived through.
Where,
Empathy.
did you live where I
No,
did?
I did not. I already
Okay,
said I
that's it.
understand where you came from. But just because you saw terrible things happen is no justification to do terrible things upon others.
No, I don't.
Yes.
No.
But you are
Definitely
doing terrible things
not.
upon these animals.
Maybe I am doing it indirectly, and
Yes.
I need time to
Yes,
you need to heal as a human being.
I understand.
You have a lot.
I understand.
You're so alone.
I understand. And seeing this on a daily basis as an animal rights activist, for me, is also very traumatizing. You know, we see pigs in gas chambers, we see them fighting for their lives. I hear their screams at night. I see people writing comments like, I'm gonna eat a burger now that I saw that vegan, ha ha ha. You know, they're not laughing at me, they're not mocking me, they're mocking the victims, suffocating because somebody tore them out of the only element where they can breathe. And no, I have not lived that because I am not an animal in a slaughterhouse. And you have maybe lived that in the war or with your family. But empathy gives us the possibility to put ourselves into the victim's perspective. And I ask you now.
Theoretically,
yes,
you might be right. But practically, it's not easy.
Of course it's not easy. But it's never more difficult for us to be vegan than for the animals in the animal industry. If you can buy cigarettes, if you can buy rice, if you can buy potatoes, if you can buy lentils.
People are different.
Look,
people are different.
You are not more different in the capability of understanding what my saying words right now. Animals do not want to die. And if you buy animal products, then you are an animal murderer right now. Because before you did not know. Maybe you did never think about this. But now you have the responsibility, right? Now you do. And even if you're doing it indirectly, you are indirectly their murderer if you buy for their death, pay for their death. I do not force you, never will I force you to be vegan. You have to do that out of your heart, out of compassion, just like you have compassion for the victims of wars, of other wars. This is also a war.
You cannot compare.
Of course
That's
I can. Okay.
Cannot.
Like I said, there is no moral difference, and you just keep saying that I cannot compare.
No.
Maybe I hope that one day you will understand.
Did you see what happened in Beirut 2 years ago? Did you see the big explosion? Did you
saw
see
that big
people
explosion.
being
Yes.
cut into pieces and their families never finding their bodies?
We have all these animals being cut into pieces.
But those are people.
And you keep saying that those are also people.
People you interact with. They are part of your family.
Just because
they are your friends.
Just because you don't interact with them does not mean that they have no families, that they have no friends.
They do.
Just because you're not friends with them is no right to cut them into pieces.
Is human beings like you.
You can put that priority anywhere you want, but there's no reason to simultaneously murder and cut into pieces and put explosions. This is what they do with animals.
Disgusting.
Yes, it is disgusting what they do with animals, and it is disgusting what you do to animals if you are not vegan. And I'm going to stop here now because you keep saying those are vegan, those are animals, those are humans. We are all animals. We are all animals. We do not want to die. We do not want to suffer, and we should not discriminate. And as long as you buy animal products, you discriminate against other animals, you cut them into pieces, you take away their lives, their families, their friends, and you are doing exactly that kind of discrimination and brutality upon them, which you fight so hard against with your beautiful heart. Just open your circle of compassion for beings that don't have human skin but have a snout and a pig's tail, and open your heart, man. It's no reason to do war upon animals. It's just not. Can I give you a card from us to look at? There you go. You have a beautiful heart. I'm sorry that you have to go through terrible stuff, but it's never a justification to do it upon others. Have a great time.